Hello, hi Sarfaraz. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Hi, Nana.
Hi Siddharth.
Hey there, good to meet up. Hi.
So let's wait. I just make you the host and then we can take it ahead.
Sure, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's. Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Palash Verma.
Hi Palash. Good to see you here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just Siddharth, you are the host now. You can share your screen. And shall we wait for a few more minutes or should we start?
Sir, we can't hear you. Your mic is mute, I think.
Oh, yeah. Siddharth, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Let me just check if I can share my screen, and you can let me know in terms of when we can start. I'll be happy to do it.
Okay, so we shall wait for like 1 or 2 more minutes and then we should continue.
Sounds good.
Okay. And to all the participants, thank you for joining today. We shall be starting in few more minutes. Yeah, okay.
Wanted to check, are you able to view my screen and the presentation?
Absolutely, full screen.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
Okay, so let me start with the introduction. Hello, everybody. This is Naina. I take care of marketing department at the Globalizers. Today we have Mr. Siddharth Iyer, country head ETS Toefl, and we have Sarfaraz with us from ETS, and I hope Shreya is also there. So over to you, Sarfaraz. Over to you, Siddharth.
Hey, thanks so much, Naina. Thanks for organizing this session, and thanks so much for all those who've joined in for this session today that we have held for you today evening. Just quick introductions again. So I'm the country manager for ETS TOEFL in India, and as you would all realize, that English language is very important for you to succeed at a university level. Here is where you will be able to pick up skills where it is which is very essential for you when you're looking to study abroad at any university, and to come up to match the level of English that is expected from you in your respective programs. The TOEFL IBT can be the best tool which will actually help you learn the English language as you go about preparing and taking the test, so on. In India, without a doubt, we are providing very convenient testing options, and you would be glad to know that the TOEFL IBT test is accepted across the world. The other colleague of mine that you would see on the screen, I know if he can turn his camera on, but hi, Sarfraz, good to meet up with you. So he's the regional manager for West India markets, and he's been certainly working in the education domain for over a decade. So if you have any doubts or any questions with regard to the TOEFL test, you can reach out to him or our partners, the Globalizers, who would have all the relevant information that would be required for you to prepare for the test and eventually take it at the very end. Moving on to let you know what we'll cover during the course of this 1 hour session that we have along with all of you is I'm going to give you a good insight into what the ETS TOEFL IBT test is all about. I'll take you through the details of the TOEFL IBT test format and the various sections which are there in the TOEFL IBT test so that you're very confident when you start out with your preparation journey or looking to consider to take up any English language test for that matter. The other aspect that I want to introduce to all of you is the recent enhancements that we've made in the TOEFL IBT test. And there are many, not just many, they are very exciting so that it'll help you ease into your journey when you're looking to prepare for any English language test or examination, be it the TOEFL IBT test or otherwise. I'll also share a few very interesting test prep materials that we've come up with. They are not just in the physical format, but they are available on our website as apps that you can look at, which are good preparation tools that will enable you to practice for the test and attempt it when you're very confident to take it up before starting out with any English language tests on that note. One of the key enhancements that we've also got last year for the TOEFL IBT test is the home edition version of our test. And this was put in place probably just after the pandemic hit, so that we didn't want test takers to discontinue testing. We wanted to ensure that they are still able to get to their programs when they are looking to study abroad. So we have the same test, the TOEFL IBT test, which is taken at a test center, replicated where you can take it up in the safety of your homes through the TOEFL IBT home edition. And for paying attention, to what I have to speak over the course of the entire hour, there's also going to be a quiz at the very end of the session. So if you want, take notes, see what you're really interested in, and keep your ears open so that when you attempt the quiz, and you write into the team at Globalizers, there are some exciting giveaways in store for all of you. And at the very end, you can make a note of your questions or continue to posting your questions on the chat box. I'll address them at the very end. So to give you background into where the TOEFL IBT test came into being, is it is actually made by an organization called ETS, which are also co-owners of other tests, such as the GRE, and have been able to administer tests, for over a duration of about 50 years. The TOEFL IBT test is a version of our test where we are delivering it through, the internet-based test through test centers or be it at home. It tests 4 communicative skills in English. That's reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And you will get scores on all these 4 sections at the end of your test. But what we've been able to do, as a commitment to ensure that our scores are fair, valid, and reliable, is that we listen to test takers, people who keep continuing to take the TOEFL IBT test and make adjustments with the kind of questions that we ask students year on year. Though a lot of other tests, have made a lot of administrative changes, we are the ones, who ensure that the tests actually capture the relevant skills in English which are needed to be tested, which are more relevant for this day and age, and not be too stringent with regard to the scores that we are assigning to candidates. But all of this has been done without sacrificing test quality or the validity of the TOEFL IBT test scores. And we've been able to stick by it primarily because TOEFL IBT is a very academic focused test. It is a test which will check your skills that will be used in an academic setting when you look to study abroad at any university of your choice, be it in the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Germany, or likewise. So this test measures your English language skills, which are set in an academic context when you go to study abroad in a college or a university. Not just that, we also have very unique features in the way we test skills in English, where multiple skills of English or multiple communicative skills are being tested at the same time. So just like a classroom setting for that matter, if you look at it, when you will have lecturers, giving you lectures in a university setting, where you will be listening to the lecturer, and at the same time, if you're taking notes, so that you can refer to what the lecturer has said during that classroom session. Those are the kind of skills which are being tested, where your listening skills and your writing skills are being, say, tested at the same time. And such tasks are put into the Toefl IBT test. Not just that, we ensure that note taking is certainly permitted in every section. So it's not going to be a test of your memory. So a Toefl test is a test of your English skills. We do not want you to ensure that you remember all that you read or all that you hear while you're taking the Toefl IBT test. So you are allowed to take notes while attempting the Toefl IBT test. The Toefl IBT test scores are valid for a duration of 2 years. So from the time that you get your results for the Toefl IBT test, the scores will be valid for submitting it to any university of your choice if it is sent within a duration of 2 years from the time you receive your scores. I've also kind of included a link which will help you understand on what you can expect during test day. This link and this video is available on our official YouTube channel as well. So if you want, you can go check it out later. I will share these slides with you at a later date so that you have access to all these links, which I'm going to be posting in here. And then there are a few additional which are coming up in my forthcoming slides as well. To talk a little bit about the Toefl IBT test score acceptance, the preconceived notion is that Toefl IBT test scores are applicable for only certain countries or universities, and that's a myth. The Toefl IBT test scores are accepted by universities, and in fact, 100% of universities in US, in Canada, in UK, Australia, and New Zealand. All these countries completely accept the Toefl IBT test scores. And in fact, the prestigious Russell Group universities of the UK, all of them accept it. The University of Oxford accepts the Toefl IBT test. And not just that, in Canada, all Canadian universities not just accept the Toefl IBT test, but in Canada, it is in fact the most popular English language test. Canadian universities receive more Toefl scores than all other English language tests put together. In Australia, we are accepted by all universities. Not just that. In Australia, we are also accepted by the Home Office for immigration purpose. Same is the case with New Zealand, where the New Zealand immigration also accepts the Toefl IBT test scores. So you can be rest assured that as a student, if you're looking to apply to multiple destination countries, the Toefl IBT is the right choice for you. The Toefl IBT test scores, yes, originated in US, and all US universities have have the acceptance of the Toefl test listed, followed by any other test that they choose to accept. Not just that, the Toefl scores are actually preferred by US universities for application purposes, and that is when they feel confident that the skills of English of a candidate, if he's been able to score the requisite numbers or the score that is asked for by the university, you can feel confident by sending your Toefl IBT test scores, and that will make you stand out to university in your applications. Before I go about sharing what the current format is of the Toefl IBT test, I just wanted to highlight, and this is for all your knowledge and reference, that we've made a lot of improvements to the Toefl test, and these have been done over just the course of a couple of years, and these have certainly been helpful to the candidates and has certainly been very well received by students in India. So among the top 10 enhancements that we've made to the Toefl test, the first is we've actually simplified the registration process. It's a very simple, straightforward process. You log on to our Toefl IBT website, you create an ETS account for yourself, you find the test center in the date of your choice, and you go about booking the test. And it is the same process for the home edition version of our test as well. We have included a new feature, called the MyBest score, and I'll take you through what the MyBest score is about in our later slides as well. And this is something which has been really well received by a lot of students in India. Not just that, we've shortened the length of our test. Earlier, our test used to be close to about 3.5 hours. Right now, with the same skills of English being tested and the same 4 section, our test is almost just about 3 hours. When I took the TOEFL IBT test, and I've taken both the versions. I've taken the test which is given at home, and I've taken the one at the test center. I took about 2 hours, 30 minutes and 2 hours, 40 minutes to complete. And not just that, I had ample time to review my questions which I have attempted in every section. So you will have good amount of time to ensure that you're able to complete the test in its totality before you complete it. We have introduced a lot of test times. So we have afternoon test times and multiple dates and booking slots for you to go ahead and book your test. We have a free practice test, which is available online. And this is a full-length practice test so that you're very confident before attempting the real TOEFL test. We have reduced retest wait time. So say if in case you were not able to achieve your desired score, you will be able to retake your test within 3 days after your first attempt. We also have a Toefl Official App. So if you look at it on your Android devices or your iOS platforms, if you go to the App Store, you would be able to download the Toefl Official App in order to help you register for the test. And there's also a Toefl Go app, which can help you prepare for individual sections in our test. We have improved our score reporting timelines. Earlier, it used to be 2 weeks. Right now, you will get your results on the 6th day after taking your TOEFL IBT test. So your test score reports reach you much faster. And not just that, we've extended the registration time. So if you have deadlines to meet, and if you want to book the test, even say 2 to 3 days, prior to the actual test date, you will be able to do so through your ETS account. The last and really exciting feature that we actually brought about is that we introduced the reading and listening scores, which actually show up on your screen the moment you complete the test. So the indicative scores in your reading and listening section will be displayed on your screen the moment you finish the TOEFL test. So why did we go about making these changes? Because we felt that the changes were good. It would certainly help and assist the test takers and also improve, the test registration process and your entire journey from when you register, you start preparing to when you actually take the test, and ensure that we have the right technology which is put in place to give the most fair assessment to every candidate who's taking an English language test through us. So the scoring is much more improved, where we are able to fairly judge with great amount of accuracy your skills in English across all these 4 sections that you see on the screen out here. And what are the 4 sections? It's reading, listening, speaking, and writing. In the reading section, if you look at the right-hand side column, which is highlighted in red, that is the current version of the TOEFL test. So in the reading section, we have 3 to 4 passages that you will see on your computer screen. And these passages will appear on the left-hand side column. And then there'll be associated questions which refer to the passage, which will appear on the right-hand side column. So, between 2 columns, you'll be able to read the passage, and you'll also be able to see corresponding questions which come up along with it. And you don't need to go hunting for where these questions are referenced to in the paragraphs. So that will be given as an indicator to you. And not just that, even if there are additional words which are mentioned in the passage, which are too technical in nature, we will have a glossary list of words which will be given in the TOEFL IBT test, so that you're able to understand and comprehend what is being said in the passage. But in order to prepare for this, I think it's best to advise that you reach out to the team at the Globalizers, where they'll be able to help you to assist and prepare you for the TOEFL IBT test. This section of the reading section is roughly about 1 hour. So it ranges between 54 to 72 minutes. This is followed by the listening section. In the listening section, you will have about 3 to 4 lectures. Each lecture will have 6 questions which are associated with it. And these lectures will be as audio clip recordings. So you will get to hear the recordings, and then you will have to answer the corresponding questions. But while you're listening to the audio recordings in the listening section, do keep in mind that you will be able to take notes at the side as well, so that you need not remember any audio clip that you're listening to, and you need not have to memorize it. And if need be, you can even replay, the audio clip if you missed out on a few portions. But you will be able to have fair time so that you can complete the complete listening section. You have close to about an hour to attempt this section. This lectures are also followed by 2 to 3 conversations, and these are conversations which basically happen in an academic setting. And conversations are usually centered around university life or academic content. So it can be, say, a conversation, which happens between a student and a librarian, or it can be a conversation where 2 students are discussing on a topic or a subject, and then there'll be questions which will follow that. So you would need to attempt these questions, and you would need to answer them accordingly. Followed by these 2 initial sections, there will be a 10 minutes break. And this is a mandatory break where you can go refresh yourself, but ensure that you're back before the 10-minute break gets over. This is followed by 2 sections. The final 2 sections are the speaking and the writing section. The speaking section will involve you to attempt 4 tasks. One will be an integrated speaking task. There'll be 3, integrated speaking tasks and 1 independent speaking task. The independent speaking task will basically be a prompt where you'll be asked to speak on a particular subject or a topic. And integrated task is, say, where you'll be asked to listen into an audio conversation, and then you will have to answer by speaking into the microphone. And you can speak at a very normal rate. You need not be loud. You can probably just speak in the rate that I'm speaking right now, and the microphones are pretty sensitive, and they'll be able to catch your audio very well. Apart from that, the final section is the writing section. The writing section will involve 2 writing tasks. One will be an integrated writing task and 1 independent writing task. You will have 50 minutes to complete the writing section. So ensure that you take all the time that is given or allocated to you, and you review your written response after you've written them as well, to ensure that you are very confident before submitting your test and completing all sections. So these are the 4 sections which are to be covered in the TOEFL IBT test, and your score actually ranges from 0 to 120 in a TOEFL test. Each section has 30 points which are allocated to it. So 30 for reading, 30 for listening, 30 for speaking, and 30 for writing. And all these put together will give you an overall score, which is out of 120, that will be finally reflected in the test score report form that you are provided at the very end. So looking at the changes that we've made to the TOEFL IBT test and the new improvements is that we've made it a shorter test. There's less testing time, same high quality results, and your test can be completed in just about 3 hours. There'll be fewer questions, which are basically asked in 3 sections: in reading, listening, and speaking. And there is no change that we've made to the score scale. And we also have a concurrence of the TOEFL test with the IELTS scores, which are available on our website as well. So you can look it up if in case you just want to see concordance and understand of what the TOEFL test scores do imply. Also, we've kind of reduced the retest waiting time so that you will have faster score reporting as well. We have reduced the retest wait time, where you can say take the test, say if you've given the test, which is today, Tuesday, if you can look to rebook the test on as early as Friday if you haven't got your desired scores. Your score reports will be available on the 6th day after you take the test. So you will be able to do that very confidently without hampering your deadlines if you would need to meet them. You have an easier online registration process. You also can register, as I told you, for the TOEFL test using your mobile devices and the app that we have. And the app is actually powered by Google Maps. So all you need to do is, while using the app, you need to turn your location on, and it will show you all the test centers within your vicinity. And you would be then able to select the next available test date and choose a time at your convenience to go ahead and book the test. We have extended the online registration and the wait period for the TOEFL test. So earlier, it was a lot later. You could only register, say, 7 days before the test. Now you can even do 2 days before a test. You would be able to easily do that here in India as well. We have introduced this exciting feature, and I would want all of you on the call, to pay attention here. This is called the MyBest scores. MyBest scores actually combine the highest section scores from all valid attempts of the TOEFL test. To give you an example of what it looks like, say if a test taker at the first attempt of the TOEFL test has got section-wise scores in every section of reading, listening, speaking, and writing, where they have scored 20, 22, 17, and 17 on the first attempt in the first TOEFL test day administration. Here, if you look at this candidate's case in particular, the candidate probably has not been able to get the desired score in the speaking and the writing section. So in the next attempt of the TOEFL test, which can be taken within a duration of 2 years, the candidate is able to work on the speaking and the writing sections, ensure that he's able to learn more, practice more in both these sections, and get the desired score. So if you look at the second attempt, the candidate has been able to get 19 in both speaking and writing, which is higher than the earlier attempt. And the MyBest score will combine the best section-wise scores in every program. And that will be reflected in your score report as well. So this is how it will come up on your score report, where your last attempt of the TOEFL IBT test will be shown with individual section-wide scores. And you will also get to see your MyBest scores if you've taken multiple attempts at a TOEFL test. And these are being accepted by universities all around the world. So you can be rest assured when you're submitting your TOEFL scores, where even the MyBest scores will be applicable and visible to all universities who are accepting the TOEFL IBT test scores. We also are providing instant scoring of the reading and the listening section. So you can look at how you have done in your test before actually leaving the test center and before closing your session. So with these indicative scores in the reading and the listening section, you can choose to submit your scores to a particular university of your choice, or if you wish to do so, you can cancel your scores as well if you think you haven't done well and you need to reattempt the TOEFL test. So this option is made available to you. But however, do keep in mind that the reading and the listening section scores, which are provided to you at the end of the test, is a computer-based assessment which is done. And there are chances that when you get your final score reports, that your scores in these sections might improve. We have an enhanced speaking scoring, which has now been provided in the TOEFL IBT test. And I think we've been able to do that with the EDS Speech Rater Services, which is an AI tool that we incorporate to ensure you are assessed in the best possible manner on all the speaking skills which are being assessed in the TOEFL test. That's your pronunciation, your fluency, your vocabulary, and your grammar. And we also ensure that there are human raters who are also doing your scoring, but this is being done remotely. You need not sit in front of an examiner to take your speaking section. You're doing it in front of a computer, so you can be much more comfortable when you're doing your speaking section in front of a computer rather than a real test taker who's probably sitting right in front of you and probably judging you and has no bias towards you. All our human raters are sitting across different parts of the world and are remotely assessing your test. Those individual human raters kind of put your scores together along with the baseline results that we've got from the AI tool, which is incorporated into the test, to give you your final score in the speaking section, so that you can be very assured with regard to the best assessment that you can get for speaking abilities in TOEFL. These are few exciting, test prep materials which are available through us. These are free full-length practice tests which are available on the website. So you can look at it, you can register and practice for the test. You will listen to sample speaking responses in here as well, and you will get to read sample written responses at various levels of how this has been attempted by multiple test takers. And this has been launched recently in September 2019, and it is available on our website. We also have the Toefl Mooc, which is an online open course available again at no cost to students. You can log on to the edX platform, and it's a self-paced course. If you want to complete it, say within a month or 3 months, you can choose to do so by setting times for yourself, but it does incorporate a lot of fun videos, quizzes. You have discussion boards so that you have very engaging experience when you're preparing for the TOEFL test. This is also a very comprehensive version to prepare for the TOEFL test, and this is available at no cost to you. There is a paid certification version of it as well if you choose to do so. We also have popular test prep apps. That's the TOEFL Go app. This is available on the App Store and on Android through Google Play. So you can download it and practice individual sections before attempting the TOEFL test. This is the score comparison tool that I was talking about earlier. All the TOEFL test scores are also mapped to the Common European Framework of Reference, which is a set standard which most tests refer to. But we also have a concordance with the IELTS scores. But when you're looking to apply to universities, ensure that you check out individual universities and their TOEFL score requirements, and also ensure to note what are their section-wide score requirements as well before you're preparing and submitting your scores to universities, so that you'd be able to work towards achieving the same. You have something called the TOEFL IBT Test Prep Planner as well. It's a very comprehensive 8-week planner to help you prepare for the TOEFL IBT tests. This is available as a soft copy, but if you want physical books and hard copies, you can reach out to the team at Globalizers. They have that with them, and you can get it through them at no cost. You also have very good test taker links where you can actually help practice our tests, and in each individual sections in reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Ensure that you're able to take up all these practice and practice as much as you can before attempting the TOEFL test. There are good links which are available online as well. There is a couple of them that I would want all of you to look at. One is the TOEFL TV, which is our official YouTube channel. There are individual section-wide videos on how to prepare for the test. So do have a look at that. And then there's good practice test materials, which is the test prep, which is available online as well. So I would implore all of you, to look at a couple of these links to help you prepare in your journey for an English language test. What I would also want you to go through is give you a good overview of the TOEFL IBT home edition version of the test. This was in development by TOEFL for a long period in time, but because of the pandemic and due to the fact that many test centers or sites probably in tier 2 or tier 3 cities right now have remained closed and have again not open up for testing, we wanted to ensure that all students across India are given the choice so that they can take the TOEFL test from the safety of your homes. What you would need to ensure though is that you have good internet bandwidth before taking the test, and that you meet system requirements before attempting the TOEFL IBT home edition. These are two prerequisites, which is very important in the Indian context, because even I see frequent disconnections happening to the internet, and this shouldn't be a hindrance for you. But ensure that you're able to attempt the test at the right time and have good internet while taking the TOEFL IBT home edition. But to clear any other conceptions that I have, I'll actually take you through what it takes to prepare and practice for the home edition version of the TOEFL IBT test. So the TOEFL IBT home edition test remains the same as the test center version of our test. It is again accepted by over 11,000 universities in over 150 countries. So yes, you can take the Toefl IBT Home Edition. Over the course of this home edition presentation, what I'll share is details of the eligibility to take a Toefl IBT test, your requirements, the accommodations that you could request, what you need to do as a checklist before registering for the test. If you want to register or say reschedule your test due to any issues or any concerns that you can have the opportunity to do that as well, and a few tips on what it requires for you to prepare before the test dates, and talking about the scores of the home edition version of the Toefl test. Now, as I did reiterate, as I've said before, is that it is the same test. There's nothing which has changed. It is the same test content and the same test format. It is the same on-screen experience that you see for the Toefl test, even when you're taking the Toefl test at a test center. So on screen, it is going to look exactly the same. And it's the same set of, the same kind of questions which will also be asked. It'll have the same features. We'll have the MyBest features incorporated there. We also have the instant scoring of the reading and the listening section there as well. It's the same price. The Toefl IBT test is priced at $185 in India, and it's the same cost for the home edition version of our test as well, and you will have the same payment options. The score reporting and the scoring also remains the same, so there's no change to that as well. The same test prep materials that I had shared earlier are applicable for the home edition version as well. But right now, just so that you are aware, we have launched the 6th edition and the latest version of the Toefl IBT official guides. And then there are additional practice online materials that you can buy or download as well. There is the Toefl Insiders Guide course, which is available on edX, as I told you. And then there's a free full-length practice test. Our publishers in India, McGraw-Hill, also publish 2 other volumes of the Toefl IBT test. So if you want to buy it off Amazon or Flipkart, you can choose to do that. The only differences in the Toefl home edition version of the test is that instead of taking the test at a test center, you're not now taking the test center from the safety of your homes. You're using your own equipment. So in this case, the equipment that you would be likely using is a laptop or a desktop computer. So these are the 2 computers that you would be using. It can be Windows OS or a Mac computer as well. But the difference here is that in a test center, there are human proctors who are looking at you while you're taking the test. In this case, you need to ensure that your webcam stays on all the time, where you will be monitored by a remote proctor sitting on the other end, watching you at all times. And there are a certain set of security aspects that are involved that you will have to undertake before the start of the Toefl IBT test, where the proctor will actually ask you to show your home test environment before you start the test, to ensure that you're in the right setting and seating before you start the test. So who can take the Toefl IBT home edition? All test takers in India will be able to take it. And you can take the test 24 hours a day across these 4 days in the week. And these 4 days are Sundays, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in India. And you would be able to schedule the test time based on your own convenience. You go to the same ETS login ID and account, and instead of choosing the Toefl IBT test center version, you will be choosing the Toefl IBT home edition version. And then you will also be asked to choose the date and the time slot in which you would want to take the test. To give you my experience, when I took the home edition test, I actually choose to do it late in the night. I choose to do it at around 10:30 in the night. I think I took it at around 11 in the night. And when I took it at 11, I thought that is the time, when I have a quiet environment in my home and where I'll also probably have good internet bandwidth while taking the home edition version of our test. So, but yes, you can choose to choose it anytime within those 24 hours. The equipment requirements, which is required for you to attempt a home edition version of our test, is you need a desktop or a laptop. You cannot take the test on your tab or your mobile devices. You will not be able to do that. You need a laptop or a desktop to take it up. And you would need a Windows operating system or a Mac when you're attempting the test. And you would ideally need to use a Chrome or a Firefox browser when you're opening up the test window. The equipment requirements will also require you to have an internal or an external microphone. So no headsets or earphones will be allowed while you take the test. And you also need to ensure that your ears actually are visible all the time when you're taking the TOEFL test. And the proctor will check that you have no attached devices to your ears when you're attempting the TOEFL IBT home edition test. So it can be an internal laptop speaker, or it can be an external speaker or microphone that you use as well. So you can choose to use either of them. Why is a camera required is because the test is remote proctored. There'll be a proctor at the other end of the screen who is monitoring you constantly. And there is an AI tool also incorporated to monitor every test taker during the entire course of the 3 hours while you're attempting the test. And the laptop either needs to have a built-in camera, or it can be a separate webcam that you choose to get as well. But the proctor, before starting the test, will actually ask you to give a 360-degree view of your room, including what's above your laptop and what's below your laptop. And you would also be asked to take your laptop and show it either in front of a mirror, or use your phone to show your laptop to the proctor before attempting the test. So all of these security checks are done before you start the home edition version of our test. So you can ensure that you start the test, say, 15 to 20 minutes before the actual session scheduled time. If you want, you can certainly request for accommodations for those with disabilities, and ETS will be able to make provisions for the same, where you need to go to disabilities for test takers, and we will be able to accommodate your request based on any medical needs that you would have if you are attempting the home edition version of your test as well. This, yes, certainly can be done for those who are choosing to attempt the TOEFL test at a test center as well. What you do need to know before registering for the test is you need to download and install the ETS test browser. And these instructions will be sent across to you by an email. But through the ProctorU website, you can also do a equipment check to ensure that your computer, your camera, your microphone, and your speaker all are working properly and meet the specific hardware requirements as is required to take up the home edition version of our test. So once you're ready to register for the TOEFL IBT test, so you need to follow the same registration process. And I'll take you through this because it'll be same for a test center version or the home edition version. You need to log in and create an ETS account if you do not have one, and find out, say, the test center dates and page. If you're taking the test center version of the test, you need to look at test centers and you select the date, and you then look to proceed to the next step. If not, you select the home edition, you click on that radio button, and then you continue by following to verify your email ID. You select your date and time for the test, look at the available time, look at what's convenient for you, and choose a date and time accordingly. You then need to confirm your appointment details and continue with your registration process and pay for the test. But ensure before you start your registering process, you have your ID or your passport in hand with you, because the passport is the only valid form of identification in India for attempting the TOEFL IBT test or the home edition test. Once you register, you will receive a confirmation email from ETS with a link to start the test on your particular test date. And you would be able to follow all the systems check and requirement check that you would need to do before the test date. And it's best that you do it well in advance so that if there are other alternatives that you need to find out or kind of put together, or say if you require a different system and if your system is not compatible enough, You need not be worried if you're doing it, say, a couple of hours before the actual test, where you'll be under a lot of pressure. Rescheduling a test is also pretty easy as well. You can go into your ETS account and choose to reschedule your test if in case you choose to move from the home edition version to a test center version, or the test center to shift it to a home edition. And right now we are able to apply this very easily in India. And say if in case, and I've been asked a lot of these questions coming in from candidates, that what happens if in case you face some technical glitch, or say if in case your internet drops or is completely gone while you're attempting the TOEFL IBT test at home. You need not worry. We can accommodate your request for a free reschedule if there's some technical fault, failure, or if there is a complete drop in internet while you're attempting the TOEFL IBT home edition test. You need not worry about that, but just ensure that you have the provisions to have a stable internet connection before taking the home edition test. So it's test date. So what is required for you to ensure that you have the right environment and right setting in the TOEFL IBT test is that you need to be alone in a room. Preferably, you should be at home. Outdoor and public spaces are certainly not permitted. So you can't sit in a Starbucks or a cafe to attempt the home edition version of a test. It needs to be a closed room that you are alone in. And ensure that your room door is locked as well, so that you don't have someone walking in while you're taking the home edition test, because it's a security breach and there are chances that your tests might be cancelled because of it. So just ensure that you're in a quiet environment and you're in a room by yourself. Your computer desk must be completely empty. You should not have any other things on it. You are allowed to still have a whiteboard and a marker, and I'll come to that and I'll show that to you later. But ensure that there are no other external devices or any other equipment or loose materials lying around on your table while taking the test. When you have your mobiles, the proctor will specifically ask you to keep your mobiles in a different room before you start the test. And even during the breaks, do not reach out or go to your mobile phones at all. If you want to take a break, you can use the restroom, drink water, come back to your test before that 10-minute break gets over. Ensure that is happening. And you must be sitting in a standard chair while taking the TOEFL IBT home edition test. What you need to bring is you need to bring in your ID. So when you have started the test, ensure that you have your passport with you. So the proctor will look at your passport, take a photograph of you before starting the test and ensure that it matches with your passport. You will also be asked to take your laptop either in front of a mirror, or you can use your mobile screen, mobile selfie camera to show the proctor of what your equipment looks like. So you can choose to do that as well before starting the test. And yes, there are note-taking materials for the TOEFL IBT home edition version, which is a small whiteboard and a marker with an eraser. So you will be asked to erase all your notes before you exit your test. If you do not have a whiteboard or an access to a whiteboard, then you can also use a transparent sheet protector. Ensure that you insert a blank piece of paper in it. And yes, it needs to be a blank piece of paper, not a ruled paper or any other kind of fancy paper. It just needs to be a blank A4 paper. You put it inside the transparent sheet protector and you can write on top of it with a marker, and ensure that you have an eraser as well, so that you will be able to erase all the notes that you've taken before you exit the test. Later, if you look at it in terms of your appearance, on how you dress while taking up the test, is you need to ensure that you're dressing appropriately and you're not in a shabby way where your hair is, say, falling all over your face. You need to ensure that your ears are visible all the time. So ensure that your ears are not covered by your hair or a hat or a cap or any other additional devices or any coverings or cloth for that matter. If there's some religious headgear that you're wearing, it is fine, but ensure that again that is not covering your ears. Apart from that, you are not allowed to wear any kind of accessory. So you're not allowed to wear rings, watches, or if you're wearing studs, or if you're wearing some heavy jewelry, you'll be actually asked to remove all that and keep that aside in a different room, because that is a security concern for us. So all these checks will be done before you start your home edition test, and you will be able to go through this. Before starting your test, you need to show your ID. You need to show your computer screen using a mirror, and you will be asked to physically, if it's a laptop, to take your laptop around the entire room and to show a 360-degree view of your room. While taking your test, always ensure that you're sitting in front of your webcam. You shouldn't, say be off the screen. If in case, you have a pen dropping or something, you need to ensure that you're always in visibility in front of the webcam while attempting the Toefl IBT home edition version of your test, because we also have AI tools to ensure that you're always there and visible on the screen. But if you face any technical issues, you can get in touch with ProctorU or write into us at ETS. The finishing part of your test, or at the end of your test, you will be able to view your reading and listening scores as well. And you will be able to submit your scores if you wish to do so. Your scores, you will receive them in about 6 to 10 days time, and your scores will be sent to the institutions that you select, either before taking the test, or you can choose to do that even after taking the test. The scores, just like the Toefl IBT test center version, are valid for a duration of 2 years. And yes, it does incorporate MyBest scores in here as well. So summarize the Toefl IBT home edition test, tests across 24 hours a day, 4 days a week in India. It is remotely proctored by a human proctor sitting on the other side. It's a very convenient option. It is the same and test content, same and test format, and the on-screen experience. And all the 11,000 plus institutions which accept the Toefl IBT test center scores accept the Toefl IBT home edition scores as well. And yes, we are always here to help. So for resources on the Toefl test, you can reach out to the team at Globalizers, and all participants out here can also avail a $10 discount if you're looking to book or register for the Toefl IBT test today, and you can get in touch with Naina for the same. There's more information which is available on our website at the home edition test. There are updates on COVID-19 as well. And if you wish to reach out to us, you can certainly either write into me or get in touch with Sarfaraz for any questions with regard to the test. I also want you to take a look at a quick video which summarizes the Toefl IBT test, its acceptance, and all that I've spoken to you, during the course of this hour. So do have a look at this.
Lots of tests will promise you the world, but only the Toefl test gives you the best chance at getting into your top choice university. In any country in the world, like the land of burgers and fries, the home of prawns on the barbecue, the birthplace of maple syrup, and anywhere and everywhere you choose to study in Europe, the world awaits. The Toefl test is the test that can get you to where you want to go, the university of your choice. Give yourself the advantage. Take the Toefl test.
So thanks for listening into me and for being a part of a session. But here is the thing that probably students were waiting for, who joined us on this session today. It's a quick quiz on the Toefl IBT test. And I hope you've been able to pick up more about the Toefl test, what you've heard from me during the course of this session. If you want to take screen grabs of the questions which are up on the screen, or take a screenshot of it, please feel free to do so and send in your answers to nana@theglobalizers.com. The first question is, what is the availability of the Toefl IBT home edition test in India? So how many days is it available, and for what is the time when you can choose to take the Toefl IBT home edition test? The second question, which is on the quiz that is put up today, is what is the course name for the Toefl Mooc on the edX platform? So if you don't know it, you can find this out and send in your answers accordingly. The third question is how many institutions around the globe accept the Toefl IBT test scores? The fourth question to all the audiences who joined us today is name one advantage, or you can list out one advantage of the MyBest scores in the Toefl test. To one lucky winner, the team at Globalizer is going to send across a nice and interesting giveaway for you. Thank you so much for that. But now I'll be open to taking up any questions who are coming in from the participants that we have on the call today. So thank you.
So thank you, Siddharth, for this wonderful presentation. And I will request all the attendees to fill this to fill the form, the link which I have provided in the chat box. And after the inputs, we will be providing the $10 discount, as we mentioned earlier. And as Siddharth has asked the questions, you can answer on the email ID, which I have again listed, again mentioned in the chat box. And the lucky winner will get the prize. So I would request everybody, if they have any sort of questions with regards to Toefl for Siddharth, please write it down on the chat box. And even if someone wants to directly connect with Siddharth, they can unmute themselves and then directly ask the question. Okay, so Siddharth, I have one question. So while I was attending the webinar, you said the best score, my best score. So is it like, suppose I have given 10 times, so will it also be applicable? I know nobody does that, but it's just in case if someone gives multiple times.
No, sure. I completely get it, where you're coming from. And Nana, I wouldn't be too surprised, considering, I've worked in the English language test space for a while. And I've seen students in India, attempting other English language tests 10, 12 times. And this is a common occurrence for me. So I'm not too surprised by it at all. But we at ETS are primarily a non-for-profit organization. And we want to ensure that the students are able to improve their English language skills in every attempt of a Toefl IBT test. So I would ideally want them to get to their desired scores in their second or the third attempt. And they should not be taking any English language test for that matter for 4 to 5 times. I think it's a complete waste of money and their time and effort as well. Not just that, if say they are able to do well in a couple of sections in their first attempt, they can really choose to concentrate in terms of improving their skills in the other few sections that they are weak in, and ensure that they get to their desired scores in say the third attempt of a Toefl test, and which is reflected in your MyBest scores, and then send those scores across to a university of their choice. And that is the intent with which we are coming when it comes to a MyBest scores. So yes, I have seen candidates, taking multiple attempts, but the Toefl IBT test, will ensure that you're also learning the English language while you're preparing for the test. So the best way to go about doing this is to practice as much as they can. And there are enough practice materials which are available online these days itself. Students will be able to access, official content from ETS Toefl, which are available on our website, on our YouTube channel. You can just follow it and prepare accordingly to ensure that you're giving or you're putting your best foot forward when it comes to preparing for the Toefl test. So yes, they can do that.
Okay. So I have a question. So one Nitika Surana has asked, greeting, does the TOEFL score suffice my application requirement for certain programs that do not require the GRE score, but an English proficiency test alone?
Well, yes, absolutely. The GRE test, you need to understand that even though, it is a ETS test, which comes in from the same testing body, is for an entirely different purpose. It is majorly meant for either graduate programs or business school programs across universities in the world who are accepting the GRE scores. But the GRE test also does have a verbal component which is incorporated as a part of the test. And it is a test which is an entry requirement for many of the universities. And that becomes like a mandatory pre-screening before they choose to accept the student for any course of their choice. Whereas that is not what the TOEFL test is about. The TOEFL test is only an English language proficiency test alone. So a TOEFL test score alone would suffice. For international students for whom English is not their first language, for many universities across international countries and destinations, English language test scores does become a prerequisite that you need to have a minimum English language proficiency score before you're making an application to a particular university. In countries such as Canada, Germany, US, TOEFL does become the preferred test for those countries, where if you're submitting a TOEFL test score, you actually get to stand apart from other applicants as well. I do know, given the times that we are in, many US-based universities are waiving off GRE scores as such, but they cannot choose to do so with a TOEFL test score, where English does become pretty much a prerequisite when you're making an application or entering into university.
Siddharth, if you can just tell that what is the minimum requirement country-wise? Like, is there any basic criteria for, say, Canada or US or European countries?
Well, it does tend to vary a lot, and it tends to vary depending on the university and the criteria that they set for English score requirements. And even within a university setting, say within US, it'll vary by departments, whether you're applying at the UG level or the postgraduate level, or say at a PhD level. So at all these various NT programs, there are different English language score requirements, and it will vary by country as well. So like UK Home Office will say have 74 as a requirement for the TOEFL test, or Australia Home Office will have, say, somewhere around 54. New Zealand will have a completely different, TOEFL IBT test score requirement. So we would ask candidates to look at these individual countries and their requirements before sending their TOEFL scores, and they need to prepare themselves accordingly. But while I say this, you also do need to understand that in most of these settings, Indian students tend to score fairly very well in the scores that they get in their TOEFL IBT test. And that really tends to stand out from how the TOEFL IBT test takers are taking the test around the world. Indian students have certainly performed a lot better, and the average scores that they get in TOEFL are really good. So it's certainly a gold standard in English language testing, but given how Indian students have performed, I think it should be the ideal choice as well.
So we have one more question. Palash is asking, I am applying for UG in
Okay.
CS major.
Okay.
So what can be the minimum score? And I know Palash, so he is targeting US. He's keeping US his first option.
Okay.
So, yeah.
See, for UG, Palash, in US, there are very good universities that you can choose for. And certainly US has been, one of those top destination countries for Indian students. And given a new administration and the new rigor that they come in with, the opportunities for you will certainly improve. Given the fact that many of the TOEFL board members, actually come from many US universities as well. They are the ones, who set the TOEFL score requirements for individual programs in UG context as well. So if you look at it, your UG scores will certainly tend to vary by universities, but if you compare it with other English language tests, your TOEFL score requirements will be much more lower. So you can be rest assured that you will be able to, get to your desired score if you're able to practice properly and prepare well for the test. But do have a look at our website, which talks about the TOEFL IBT test score acceptance. When you go on to that link, Palash, which talks about acceptance of TOEFL IBT test scores on our website, you will be able to search individually by university for the universities that you're targeting. And it will have that external link to the university website so that you can redirect to the website and look at the different score requirements for the UG course of your choice. You will also have a list which is probably will be available with the team at Globalizers, which talks about the US score requirements for multiple universities in US and their TOEFL score requirements as well. We can certainly share that with you, Palash.
So it is, I have another question. It is just a bit repetition with the first one.
Okay.
So Jaya wants to know that in which course she can apply in Canada. Like, is all the courses will accept TOEFL if she is not planning to give GRE? Will TOEFL be sufficient
Yes. See,
for Canada?
yes, it will be. And in Canada, you need to be rest assured that the TOEFL IBT test scores is 100% accepted by all Canadian universities.
And
Not
even
just that,
colleges?
for your student visas, IRCC India also accepts the TOEFL IBT test scores through the non-SDS application categories. So yes, it is applicable and accepted by IRCC India for your student visa purposes as well. And you need to keep aside GRE. GRE is an entry requirement which is set by a particular university or a college for entering into a particular course for graduate or MBA requirements or by business school. The TOEFL IBT test is just an English language test that you need to clear, which is a requirement by most universities abroad. So it'll be fairly easier for you to attempt it when you prepare well for it and when you're well equipped to take up the test. And in fact, if you look at Canadian universities particularly, we are the most popular test in Canada. The Canadian universities get more TOEFL test scores than all the other English language test scores combined. So be rest assured of its acceptance and validity.
And when we talk about Canada universities, we are talking about colleges as well.
Certainly, many institutions and colleges across the TOEFL IBT also accept the TOEFL test scores. See, if you have any doubts or clarifications on that, you can write into Sarfaraz and he'll be able to share the university links which talk about the TOEFL IBT score requirements for that particular university or the course of your choice.
Sure. So I just write down my email ID again and phone number, so students can directly connect with us. And even they have, I hope everybody has filled the feedback form, and we will be reverting you and connecting with everybody individually. But still, I will be writing down here for everybody's reference. And please, any more questions? Okay, so I think so that is it.
Sounds good. We are 5 minutes over time as well, but it was a very good session. Thanks for organizing this, Nana and the team at Globalizers.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, for your time, and thank you, Sir Faraz, for coordinating and for he was always there. Any doubt, and he was there to for quick, prompt response. Thank you so much, Sir Faraz, for that. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you so much, Siddharth, for your time.
Good to meet up with you, and all the best to all candidates who joined us on the call today. I wish you the best success that you can have in your studying abroad journey. So,
Thank you.
good day. Bye.
Good day. Bye.